It's like when God gives you a dream, an idea of what your future looks like, an idea of what you could be and should be, this perfect picture of your ideal self, we think it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or a month from now or a year from now. Okay, did you know that it actually took Joseph about 13 years for his dream to be actualized? Now check this out. He has this dream when he's young. Excitedly, he talks about it with his brothers and his father. And then automatically envy overshadows the brothers. And it leads them to sell, first to leave him in that big hole there. They just left him in the hole. Coming to kill you later. We will kill you because of your dream, because we cannot bow down to you. You are young, Joseph. We're going to kill you. Now they leave him in that weird place. After that, he is sold to Egypt, right? And so he's sold to slavery. Now, looking at this, there's a scripture right here. You want to read the Bible and just read the entire story. It's so interesting. It's fascinating. And now we see after Joseph is sold to slavery, he goes through so many things. Rejection, hatred. He's forgotten because at some point he's imprisoned and is forgotten by the people he saved or helped in prison. Now, she's accused of doing something when in actuality he ran away from the sexual temptation, and now he's in prison. I'm just kind of pointing out everything he went through, not in that specific order, but really he goes through so much that I'm kind of picturing if it were me. I'm putting myself in his shoes. I'm like, hey, I'll be like, God, did you really give me that dream? Why is it not happening? Why am I facing all these bad things in the process? And that's exactly what happens to us, friends. Now, there are times when, of course, we know what God has called us to do. And sometimes we close our eyes and we have a perfect picture of what we should be, what God created us to be in whatever area of your life. And so when bad things start to happen, we start to question whether or not that was actually given to us by God and whether or not it's going to happen, right? And it's natural. That's our human nature to kind of doubt, because usually we judge the world by what we see. And sometimes what we see is not really good. It's hurtful. People are going to reject you. Opportunities are not going to come at some point. You're going to fail at something, And because that is the process, and it's so hard to trust God in that time. But a little bit of something I learned from Joseph is the integrity of holding on to what you believe in. Because he probably in his mind is like, this is not what I saw. This is not what I saw. I saw something better. No matter how long it's going to take, I believe God, it's going to happen. And that is just the integrity of believing what God gave you, what God showed you, and what God is doing in your life, and knowing that despite the negativity, despite every bad thing, every trial and tribulation you're going to face, you have to look at what God gave you. Do not lose your focus. Look at the cross and say, God, this is what you gave me to do. And no matter how long it will take, I'll still trust you. Because, hey, sometimes this is how I take life. Personally, nowadays, after reading this scripture, I'm just like, God, you're really making a testimony out of all these negative experiences, guys. And so, trust God. Whatever is happening to you right now, be it good or bad, it's part of your testimony. The time you're going to stand and say, hey, hold on to God. This is what I've been through, and this is what God has done in my life. Somebody is going to be able to be encouraged by you because you've been through that, and that's your testimony. That was the way to your glory. That was your way to what God created you to becoming. And Joseph is now the governor, the governor of Egypt. And it's like, hey, promotion, it only comes when you've overcome different types of temptation, sexual temptation, matters of integrity. And sometimes something I would also like to highlight is that every time you go through bad things doesn't mean you've done something wrong. Because sometimes as believers we feel like, oh, I'm going through this because I probably have done something wrong. What have I done to offend God? Oh, this person is passing through these bad times. They probably sinned. No, sometimes you don't even have to sin. It's just part of the process. That is God pruning you, so that you can bear fruit even more and better. And that's something I just thought I should encourage you about. Hold on to the dream that God gave you, guys. Hold on to the dream that God gave you, and whatever you pass through, stay focused on that dream and it will come to pass. Margaret Yomi here. See you on the other side.